2025 was a great year for gaming. There were a lot of great releases and announcements for 2025 to 2026. I didn't get to play the Battlefield 6 beta, but after watching the gameplay and hearing other people's opinions on the game, I might actually buy it on release, or at least close to release. Give it a few days for EA to sort out their servers when they go live. Don't forget, you also got Marvel Rivals. I remember when it was in beta, I saw a lot of people playing the beta on my friends list. I was really skeptical that the game would actually be a good game, mainly because of all the dead DC and Marvel games recently. But more people started covering Marvel Rivals on YouTube, and my friends started playing it. Almost like how I used to play CSGO before CS2. But with all the great games or great updates that came out in 2025, we added some actual garble games into people's libraries. And I'd like to give my take on probably the worst one for 2025. But first, the dishonorable mention goes to Killing Floor 3. A little bit of history about me and Killing Floor. The original was my shit. Back in the day when my PC ran like shit and the internet was slow, you had to ask if Virgin Media was in your area for a playable ping. Killing Floor was my go-to. I used to play that shit on a Sony Vail. It was probably the most unstable piece of shit since my family tower PC got a virus because certain members were going on websites now blocked by the Online Safety Act. FYI, that might have been me. So it's disappointing to see numerous videos of people hating on Killing Floor 3, since the whole Killing Floor franchise actually meant a lot to me. Especially Killing Floor 2, I sunk in a lot of hours. I'm actually trying to finish that game 100% it. So we got a video by Trollism, just a little quick recap of all the like bugs, glitches, and issues with the game, just because I never got to play it. I was gonna buy it, I was gonna pre-release it, but with all the like disappointing updates that was leading up to it in the beta, people were saying like there was loads of like issues with it. Because of that, I never bought the game. So I'll let him tell you the issues with the game.
Look, I'm going to TLDR my last video in case you didn't watch it. Characters being tied to certain perks, or now how they're called specialists, sucks. Executions are weird and terribly animated. Performance wasn't great. The atmosphere of the game is weird. Gun variety is small, although upgrading and tweaking them via the loadout system is kind of okay. Visual clutter is a problem. Movement felt unnatural, especially when it came to sprinting and dodging. On the more positive side, some of the monster redesigns are really cool, especially the Siren, and the way the upgrade perk system works is actually really good. So, has any of that changed? Well, I think the game is a little bit less glitchy and movement feels a little better, I think. Although sliding feels almost useless and still doesn't feel like it fits in the game. And other players' movement, especially during Z time, looks very wonky. Okay, so I'm going to be upfront with you all. This is not a really awful game, but it is a bad Killing Floor game, if that makes sense. Because apart from the Z time and the designs of the monsters in the game, this is almost indistinguishable from any other mid-horde-based co-op shooter. Killing Floor 3 doesn't feel like an evolution of the Killing Floor form.
The annoying thing is, right, I'm looking at this game and this looks like something that I'd still love to play. Like, just looking at the kind of like guns environment and stuff. I know a lot of people that play the game, they always criticize that the environment gets really stale, but you know, it's new to me. I didn't get to play it, so it still looks kind of good to me.
Formula. Apart from the perk upgrade system, it doesn't really do anything better that Killing Floor 2 did 9 or so years ago. In fact, most of it feels like a backsliding quality, and the things it does differently, like the specialist abilities, feels like it's stripping away the identity of what makes people like the series of games. I found myself thinking as I was playing this game for the review, like what could Tripwire have done to actually make Killing Floor 3 feel like an evolution? Because apart from the obscene monetization scheme and those stupid robots that they added, Killing Floor 2 is an extremely well-designed game. There isn't much that I could pick that you know, could actually improve design-wise to...
I didn't really mind the monetization in Killing Floor 2. Like, they had a lot of packs where you could buy like a whole cluster of like colors and skins for one particular character. I didn't mind it too much because even in Killing Floor 1, they had DLC characters. Again, these things, they don't do anything, it's purely cosmetic. But obviously in Killing Floor 1, they had their DLC weapon packs, which did actually do something. But again, like, it was to support a game. And they got regular updates with those kind of games, like especially the like seasonal events and stuff. What I do have an issue with on Killing Floor 2 is the key system. So if you're like familiar with like TF2 keys and crates, or like the CSGO or CS2 keys and crates as well, Killing Floor 2 tried to implement it as well. And all that's happened is you got like a whole load of like 3-piece skins on the market, and then all of a sudden a couple skins that are like 300, 400 pounds, and they don't really look all that great, to be fair, to be worth that kind of price.
To warrant putting in the effort to actually making a sequel. Yeah, you could put a new coat of paint on it and update the gore system, and like I mentioned a few times, the perk upgrade system actually does feel like an improvement, but apart from that, what can you do? Like, if we had a best case scenario here, would Killing Floor 3 even be that much of an improvement at the end of the day? Look, I'm not defending Tripwire here because at the end of the day, they decided to make this game. and they made a lot of not very good design choices while they were at it.
So that's basically why Killing Floor 3 has a dishonorable mention, but it's not actually bad. Like, it's not a bad game. Like, I'm pretty sure it'll still pass off as a decent game, but I know for a fact that it's not going to be a good, like, bang for my buck. Like, it's not going to be worth it. For anybody that has it, like, let me know in the comments, like, what do you think? Like, do you feel like you got ripped off? Do you feel like you got a good price for your game? Have you sunk in enough hours to get your money's worth? I know that a lot of people are going to say that Black Ops 7 should have got the dishonorable mention, but again, I didn't get the beta. Like, I couldn't get into it to see. I wasn't going to buy it anyway. As soon as I saw the reveal say Black Ops, I didn't need to hear the rest of it. Like, that shit is still being played on the same engine as Black Ops 6. I bought into Modern Warfare 2019, which in my opinion was a good entry, but I also bought into Black Ops 4 or III and Cold War months after release on sale, and I still felt like I got robbed. And since then I was like, yeah, like, let's just call it on COD games for a while, not even buy it if it seems decent. Like, it has to be outstanding before I buy another COD game. That was a good call, because what the fuck was Modern Warfare 2 and 3 remastered? Just DLCs presented as a full game? Yeah, like, I dodged a bullet there. Anyways, I got a little bit off topic. COD couldn't even be a letdown because nobody was even anticipating the newest entry to be a good game. So without further ado, my biggest letdown for 2025 has to be Gears of War Reloaded. I had so much hope for this game. We hadn't received anything since Gears 5, and the player base in that game is on a lifeline. I struggle to find games, and the only lobbies I get into are always filled with MLG sweats. I just play casually, and all of these wall bouncing antis make the game so competitive that it's not even fun anymore. So I had a lot of hope for Reloaded to help take the burden until Gears of War E-Day comes out in 2026, but the state of this game is terrible. I can't understand why they made the movement so stiff on PC. I played Gears of War on Xbox 360 back in the day, and I don't remember it being this stiff. You move so slow compared to wall bounces. If you don't bounce like crazy and just move regularly through cover, you will be a sitting duck. Also, the other issue is the latency. I don't know if it's because the player base is so low that they need to pair me with people on the other side of the planet, but I keep getting lag and rubber banding. But before I could even really experience all the issues, I had to install and return the game. Even though I got it as a free gift, it didn't sit right that somebody paid £40 for a game that's just gonna sit and collect dust in my Steam library. I already bought way too many humble bundles for that. I wish they remastered Gears of War 2 or 3, but instead they remastered a remaster of Gears of War 1. So let's jump into why some people are calling Gears of War Reloaded a scam. This is a video by Griffin Gaming, and yeah, let's jump into it.
Dominant. It's just another missed opportunity for Xbox, and this feels like a lazy, half-assed cash grab scam, as the internet likes to call it these days. So I'm gonna jump in on that one and completely misuse the definition of scam, because why not? Everybody else does it at this point. So by all accounts, by YouTube logic, Gears of War Reloaded Ultimate Edition, whatever the fuck it's called, is definitely what I would consider to be a waste of your money, and is really not worth buying, in all honesty, unless you really have an itch to go back and play some original Gears of War multiplayer.
Just for you guys' information, Gears of War Ultimate Edition was the original remaster for Gears of War 1, right? And Xbox decided to give everybody that already owned that digitally a free upgrade to Gears of War Reloaded. But obviously, if you didn't have that, then you needed to pay full price, which was £40. It goes to show that if they're giving you a free upgrade for anybody that previously had that old version, it's not really an entry. Like, they're treating it like almost like a DLC really, or like a patch update. Here's like new graphics. That comes with issues. The fact that they're probably just going to abandon it because they're just seeing it as a recolor, really. And all the people that previously got the Ultimate Edition have been playing that for like, I think it's been like over 10 years now, something like that. Like, it's been a long time. So they've had like a lot of time to practice and get really, really good at the game. The new version of the remaster comes out and they're pros at it already. So anybody like me that's coming in casually that hasn't played Gears of War 1 for like nearly like 10, 20 years or whatever it's been, right? We're going to be like incredibly stiff. We don't know how to play the game properly because Gears 5 is completely different from Gears 1. And like, you just get absolutely bodied in like every combat between another player. So yeah, it just didn't sit well. Like, this game doesn't have a player base with a huge player count like Call of Duty. Like, you don't get casual lobbies. You basically, like, every single lobby has 1 or 2, 3 sweats, right? And they could sometimes be on the same team. Like, maybe they're just friends, like pub stumping, and you're just stuck with like a heavily stacked team. Like, I've been in many games, even in Gears 5, I've been in many games where one team will be like level 20, level 30, level 4, and then the other team will have like level 99, level 100. They just have, or like prestige 20, you know, like they've got so many like hours on you, and you're just going against people that are just gonna absolutely wreck your ass.
You have now played twice already at this point. Again, it would be different if they were re-releasing Gears of War 2 and 3, which have never gotten formal re-releases whatsoever, so it would be introducing a brand new audience of people who literally could not play the Gears of War trilogy up until this point on PC, for example.
And that's crazy. I didn't even realize, yeah, you couldn't even play the original trilogy on PC. So it went basically 1, and then it went 4, and then it went 5. Like, it's crazy that you just have this like gap in there, and this would have been a perfect time. I heard rumors that they were going to originally just do the trilogy, but the trilogy was not going to have multiplayer, so that people wouldn't like divide and go between E-Day and the like trilogy multiplayer. You know, if E-Day sucks, like not many people going to stick on E-Day. They were just going to go to the trilogy. But again, like I was hearing about it from other people, and it just sounded like a bad move. You need to have multiplayer. Like Gears of War's, like the whole story campaign are only like 8 or 12 hours long. Like, what are you gonna do? Pay for a full game and only get like 12 hours worth of gameplay? Like, no, it's all about multiplayer. You need to give it to the people, even if it means that you need to make a better product when you release Gears of War E-Day.
But to me, this just seems really lazy because there's no additional content compared to the Ultimate Edition. It's literally just a re-release, like a lazy re-release. And yes, if you own the game on PC or Xbox digitally, not physically, keep in mind, you do get a free upgrade, but still, like, why are they not giving people with a physical edition of this game a free upgrade? Why do they have to buy it again? Because even Microsoft is acknowledging that it's basically the exact same thing and they're not making people pay for it twice. So again, this purely feels like a re-release in order to be a blatant cash grab, in order to get people on PlayStation to be interested in the Gears of War franchise.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. Like, it feels like a free patch with like a texture update or whatever, but you should have just given it free, because some people having it free, some people having to pay for it, just doesn't sit well.
Because it has been dead for so long. Gears of War 4 and 5 have made sure to do a fantastic job of that. But as far as the game itself goes, I do really like Gears of War 1 still. Now, granted, I do think it is the weakest entry in the Gears of War trilogy. Now, granted, that's not really saying much because all 3 of the games are absolutely fantastic. But as far as campaign and multiplayer goes, I don't think it's my favorite in either category. I definitely prefer the multiplayer and campaign of Gears of War 3. That is definitely my favorite one. Gears of War 2 being a very, very, very close second. And Gears 1, it's
Mine has to be Gears of War 2, but that's mainly because I got the Xbox edition with Gears of War 1 and 2 wrapped together, like, you know, the double CD case. I spent hours, probably hundreds of hours, sunk in that game after school. Gears of War 2 was my shit.
Good for what it was at the time. Like, it was a great entry point into the franchise, but the other 2 games evolved and better developed the ideas it originally had, as any good sequel should. So, again, I really wish this was a collection of Gears 1, 2, and 3 so that we could finally get a remastered form of those original Gears trilogy games that have never made their way to PC, that have never been re-released on console and properly upgraded, and also have never been played by the PlayStation audience, which Microsoft is now trying to target.
And what would have been crazy, right, is just putting it as literally, like, calling it the trilogy collection. Like, do not separate each game, each multiplayer. Like, just call it the trilogy collection. Have all of the maps into one game. Because as far as I'm aware, none of the maps went onto the next game, because, you know, in current Gears of War fashion, right, they release it as like a, remember back in the day you could play on Blood Drive in like Gears of War 2? Like, do you remember back in the day you could play on, like, oh, has there been a Jacinto? That's one of the maps that I don't think I've seen. And if you guys remember, what was it, like the Catacombs or something, like one of the multiplayer maps that was like based on the, when they were infiltrating the Locust, like you can literally have all 3 games multiplayer maps on that trilogy and just exclude all the other ones, like all the other new ones, because back then I'm pretty sure they didn't share maps.
I think it would have been a much more effective way to get people on PlayStation interested in the Gears of War trilogy, as well as Gears of War E-Day when it eventually releases, because now they're going to be able to play part 1, but not part 2, 3, 4, and 5, and also they're going to have to wait to play Gears of War E-Day, which, yeah, maybe that'll translate into more people being interested, but there's also another risk with this as well, too, because Gears of War Ultimate...
That's another thing I didn't even think about. Like, you don't even get like a coherent story. Like, it goes 1 to -1, but you don't get 2 and 3, then it goes 4, 5. Like, it would have been nice to have 1, 2, 3, and, you know, spoiler, some big stuff happens. I won't spoil it, actually. Some big stuff happens in number 3, and it would have been cool to see these characters when they were younger. You know, you build your relationship up with this person, and then you go all the way back and you see them back when they were young. Like, that would have been cool.
Ultimate Edition has been a thing on PC and Xbox on modern platforms. The Gears of War Sweat community has basically concentrated on those 2, and I think there really is a big risk of this game coming out and the multiplayer basically being dead within a few days, because what happened with Gears of War 4 and 5 is the games quickly died off, because the usual pipeline for Gears of War is people come for the campaign and stay for the multiplayer. It's that typical 360 era campaign to multiplayer pipeline. Now,
yep, just like Call of Duty. I think it was like Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare, where people were just playing like that 4-hour campaign and then going straight to multiplayer, and some people were just skipping it completely. Like, to be fair, even playing Gears 5, I didn't even bother playing it because when they told me it was open world, by the time that I started playing, it was only like 500 like daily players. Like there was no point in playing the story mode if I really wanted to get into multiplayer at some point.
The issue with this is people for over 18 years now, that's kind of crazy to think about, have been grinding out Gears of War 1. Like, these guys are absolute fucking magicians on the controller. They can wall
18 years. Who the fuck plays Gears of War 1 for 18 years? It's not like it's got a huge community either. So that's kind of crazy.
Bounce like God touched their shoulders himself, and they're perfectly bouncing between cover, immediately killing you with headshots, splattering you with the Nasher. Like, it is some absolute wizardry, and once you witness it for the first time, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But the problem with that is you're gonna have a lot of people that play this game and get absolutely shit on. Like, just completely shit on, to the point where they don't even have a chance in hell to even try.
Yeah, like it feels like that right now, even when you play Gears of War 5, because there's not that many playing still. And the only people that stay are the really, really good ones. And you might catch a couple people that just start playing like randomly. Like, why would you buy the game now? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
And get good, because there's that massive of a skill ceiling nowadays. So again, this isn't really going to do a great job of attracting anyone other than hardcore Gears of War players, as well as people who have never played the franchise before, which is going to result in a situation where you're going to have people who are absolute gods at this game and people who have never touched this shit before in their life and are probably not going to be touching it for very long because they're going to get frustrated on the multiplayer, and eventually the multiplayer will just become so sweaty it's going to fall off and die. Now, granted, that can happen with any multiplayer, but I think it's especially the case and especially a risk in this particular instance because this game has been released 2 times prior before. So if they would have re-released Gears of War 2 and 3, there would at least be a buffer in between, you know, the initial 360 version and this new Xbox Series X, PC, and PlayStation 5 version, so that maybe it would have attracted some of the more casual previous Gears of War fans who were not just grinding it out for all these years, waiting for yet another re-release of a game in order to go sweat their asses off on. So I think that's going to be the main issue that this game is going to face. Now, when we're talking about the game itself, like, I think it still holds up very well. The campaign is still absolutely fantastic. It has a very dark, gritty feel to it.
But yeah, that's all I really wanted to touch on Gears of War Reloaded. Definitely give Griffin Gaming a like and a follow. I'll link his video in the description below. I don't know how I feel about E-Day. I'm kind of worried about it because who knows what happens if Microsoft doesn't see any point in it and then they decide to drop it. It could happen. And the way everything's been happening with all their Microsoft staple games, like look at how Halo Infinite's been treated. Like, that was a complete flop. That's now been pretty much abandoned with all the other woke movement shit. I still remember when I played Halo Infinity or whatever it's called, like I basically played it for a couple weeks, completely dropped it myself, and then as soon as Splitgate 1 came out, I just transferred over to that and I played that out for quite a bit until I got bored of that too. I don't know, I don't feel like Gears of War E-Day's in a good spot. I feel like a lot of YouTubers are going to like cover it as soon as it comes out just because it's that kind of game. Like, it's an Xbox staple game, so it's going to be like a huge hype at the beginning, but then the multiplayer, if you don't jump in the beginning, you're just going to be paying for a game that's got no purpose in it. So it's a bit of a tough one. I've never been able to get a Gears of War game when it first came out and have online access because there was a poor point in my life where I only played Xbox 360 offline. So yeah, like there's not really much point if you're not a big Gears of War like fan, but if you are, or if you are thinking of getting into Gears of War E-Day, you have to play at the beginning because guaranteed after the first month or 2 months or 3 months, the player base will most likely die out like pretty quickly. It is a game that is like that. But anyway, guys, that's all I had to say for today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.